It is 3 in the morning. You are lying in bed, staring at the ceiling. Your heart is beating faster than it should. Your jaw is clenched. Your mind is replaying a conversation from 2 days ago. Something your coworker said, or a bill that came in, or a message you sent that still hasn't been answered. You are not in danger. There is no predator within 1,000 miles of you. You are lying in a temperature-controlled room on a soft mattress, completely safe. And yet your body is preparing to run for its life. There's a name for what's happening inside you right now, and by the time this video is over, you will never be able to stop noticing it, in yourself, in the people around you, in the strange, misfiring machine that is the modern human body. This is not a video about stress management. This is not going to tell you to breathe deeply or download a meditation app. This is about something older and stranger than that. This is about the fact that your nervous system was built for a world that no longer exists, and it has no idea. Picture a human being standing at the edge of an open grassland, East Africa. Roughly 100,000 years ago, the sun is going down. The air smells like dry grass and distant rain. She is part of a band of maybe 30 people. They have been moving all day, they are hungry, they are tired, and she is scanning the tree line, not because she wants to, not because she decided to, but because something in her brain will not let her stop. A shadow moves. It is not a tree branch, it is too low, too smooth, and it is moving against the wind. In the next half second, before she has consciously registered what she saw, her body has already acted. Adrenaline floods her bloodstream. Her heart rate doubles. The blood drains from her digestive system and rushes to her legs. Her pupils dilate. Her pain sensitivity drops. Her vision narrows to a single point in the grass. She is not thinking about dinner. She is not thinking about the argument she had this morning. Every system in her body that is not immediately useful for running or fighting has been switched off. She runs. She survives. And here's the thing that matters, the thing that changes everything once you really understand it. The humans who did not have that response, the ones whose bodies were slower to react, the ones who paused to think it over, they did not make it. The anxiety one, the hypervigilance one, the hair trigger, stress response one, generation after generation, across hundreds of thousands of years, the most reactive, most threat-sensitive humans were the ones who lived long enough to have children. You are descended from every single one of them. The calm ones are gone. Here's the part that gets strange. What just happened in her body has a name. It is called the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, the HPA axis. It is one of the oldest systems in the vertebrate brain, older than language, older than memory, older than the part of you that is watching this video right now. When the amygdala, a small almond-shaped structure buried deep in your brain, detects a threat signal, it fires, and it fires fast. Neuroscientists at New York University have shown that the amygdala begins processing a threat image 12 milliseconds before the conscious mind is even aware that anything happened. 12 milliseconds. You are afraid before you know you are afraid. The amygdala sends an emergency signal to the hypothalamus, which immediately triggers the adrenal glands, two small organs sitting on top of your kidneys to flood your body with the cortisol and adrenaline. Cortisol tells your liver to release glucose into the bloodstream. Your muscles get fuel. Your immune response gets suppressed. The body has decided that fighting infection is a luxury it cannot afford right now. Your digestive system shuts down. Your short-term memory sharpens around the threat. Everything else dims. Robert Sapolsky, a neurobiologist at Stanford who has spent decades studying stress in both baboons and humans, describes it with brutal clarity. He says that if you are a zebra being chased by a lion, this stress response is perfect. It is a masterpiece of engineering. Every system fires exactly when it should. The zebra runs. The lion either catches it or it doesn't. And within minutes, the zebra's cortisol levels return to baseline. It goes back to grazing. The stress response switches on, does its job, and switches off. That is how the system was designed to work. Now pay attention to this next part. You are not a zebra. The problem is not that you have a stress response. The problem is that your stress response cannot tell the difference between a lion and an email. This is not a metaphor. This is biology. The amygdala does not evaluate the nature of the threat. It does not ask whether the thing that just alarmed you has teeth. It does not check whether the danger is physical or social, immediate or hypothetical, real or imagined. It simply detects a pattern that matches something in its threat library and fires. The cascade begins before your prefrontal cortex. The part of your brain responsible for rational evaluation has had a single thought about the situation. And here is the number that should stop you cold. The American Psychological Association found regularly experience physical symptoms caused by stress, not anxiety as an emotion. Physical symptoms: headaches, muscle tension, chest tightness, disrupted sleep, gastrointestinal problems, 77%. That is not a mental health crisis. That is an evolutionary mismatch operating at a civilizational scale. Your body is doing exactly what it was built to do. It is responding to threats with total physiological mobilization. The tragedy is that the threats it is responding to are things like a passive-aggressive comment in a meeting, a credit card statement, a conversation you are dreading, a social media post that made you feel small. None of these things require your leg muscles to be flooded with glucose. None of them require your digestion to stop. None of them are solved by running or fighting. But your body doesn't know that. Your body is doing its job perfectly for the wrong world. Stay with me on this. There is a concept in stress research called allostatic load. It was developed by Bruce McEwen at Rockefeller University, and it describes what happens to the body when the stress response is activated, not for 90 seconds, but for 90 days, or 90 months, or 20 years. The HPA axis was built for short, intense activation followed by complete recovery. That is the rhythm it was shaped by. Sudden danger, total mobilization, then rest. What it was never designed for is the particular kind of threats that never physically resolve. The lion either kills you or it runs away. The lion either card debt does not run away. The difficult relationship does not resolve in 90 seconds. The low-grade social anxiety you carry into every room you walk into does not switch off when the immediate moment passes. And so the cortisol keeps coming. Low doses, constant drip, day after day. McEwen's research showed something that is almost too strange to believe when you first hear it. Chronic cortisol exposure physically changes the brain. Specifically, it shrinks the hippocampus, the brain region responsible for memory consolidation, emotional regulation, and spatial reasoning, by up to 14%. The organ that is supposed to help you process your experiences, make sense of your past, and plan for the future gets smaller under sustained stress. And as it shrinks, your ability to regulate the stress response itself weakens, which means more cortisol, which means more shrinkage. The system designed to protect you begins, slowly and silently, to damage you. Sonia Lupien at the University of Montreal spent years tracking cortisol levels in both children and adults and found something equally uncomfortable. Elevated cortisol specifically impairs the prefrontal cortex, the newest, most human part of your brain, the part responsible for long-term thinking, impulse control, and the ability to put things in perspective. Chronic stress does not just make you feel worse, it makes you measurably less capable of the cognitive functions that would help you deal with the stress. You are lying awake at 3 in the morning, heart pounding, catastrophizing about a conversation that may never even happen, and the cortisol running through your system is actively making it harder for you to think clearly about it. Your ancient brain is hijacking your modern brain, and the ancient brain is winning. Here's what the science actually shows about why this is so hard to escape. Then you are on the savannah. A predator appears in your peripheral vision. Your amygdala fires. Cortisol and adrenaline flood your system in under a second. You run. You climb a tree. You throw a rock. The threat is physical. The response is physical. The resolution is physical. The lion leaves. Your cortisol drops within minutes. You sit down. You breathe. Your hands stop shaking. It is over. Now, you are at your desk. You see a notification. Your manager wants to speak with you this afternoon, and the message gives no context. Your amygdala fires. Cortisol and adrenaline begin to flood your system. There is nowhere to run. There is nothing to fight. You sit in your chair, completely still, as your body prepares for a physical confrontation that will never come. The meeting is in 4 hours. The cortisol has nowhere to go. You cannot eat lunch. Your chest feels tight. You snap at someone who didn't deserve it. You finally go to the meeting, and it turns out to be nothing important. You drive home. You should feel fine, but the cortisol is still elevated. You cannot sleep. The threat was 4 words in a Slack message. Your body treated it as a lion in the grass. And this is the problem. It is not just work. The same mismatch runs through almost every source of chronic stress in modern life, and when you start looking for it, you cannot stop seeing it. Social rejection. For your ancestor on the savannah, being cast out of the group was a death sentence. You could not survive alone. No food, no shelter, no protection from predators. So the brain evolved to treat social rejection as a physical threat, and it did this with extraordinary thoroughness. Researchers at UCLA, including Naomi Eisenberger, have shown using brain imaging that social rejection activates the same neural circuitry as physical pain. The anterior cingulate cortex, a region that processes the emotional distress of physical injury, lights up identically when someone is excluded from a group as when they stub their toe. The brain does not distinguish between the two. Being left out of a group chat and being stabbed are, neurologically, the same category of event. So when you feel a spike of anxiety after being left out of something, or when you compulsively check whether someone has responded to your message, that is not weakness. That is a system that evolved when exclusion was lethal, firing in a context where the stakes are dramatically lower. Your nervous system has not received the update that you will not die from being unfollowed. Uncertainty does the same thing. On the savannah, an unresolved threat was the most dangerous kind. You couldn't relax because the lion might still be out there, so the brain evolved a strong bias toward resolving uncertainty at almost any cost. Archie de Burker and colleagues at University College London found that people are more stressed by not knowing whether something bad will happen than by knowing something bad definitely will happen. Uncertainty is, neurologically, worse than bad news. The brain would rather have a definite threat it can respond to than an ambiguous one it cannot locate. This is why you refresh your email before the answer could possibly have arrived. This is why you read the same text message 17 times looking for a tone that isn't there. This is why your mind keeps returning to unresolved conflicts even when there is nothing productive to do about them. Your brain is not being irrational. Your brain is doing exactly what saved your ancestors' lives. It is scanning for the lion that might still be in the grass. There is just no lion. Now watch what this means when you add all of it together. You have a body designed for a world of short, intense, physically resolvable threats. You live in a world of long, low-grade, socially complex, never fully resolved threats. You have an amygdala that cannot distinguish between a predator and a performance review. You have a cortisol system designed to fire and extinguish in minutes that is now firing at a low hum for months at a time. You have a social brain that treats exclusion as a mortal threat in a world where social interactions number in the hundreds every single day. You have an uncertainty and tolerance system that insists on resolving ambiguity immediately in a world that is structurally, permanently ambiguous. And on top of all of this, the most modern insult of all, you are supposed to sit still and be productive. Think about what that actually means physically. When your stress response fires, your body prepares for movement. Blood goes to your legs, your glucose spikes, your muscles tense. Every signal your biology is sending says, move, run, climb, throw, escape. And instead, you sit in a chair. You stare at a screen. You type a reply. The physiological preparation for action has nowhere to go. The fuel sits in your bloodstream unused. The tension stays in your muscles because there was no physical release. And your body, receiving no signal that the threat is past, keeps the response running. This is why exercise is one of the only reliable ways to lower cortisol. Not because it is relaxing in any intuitive sense, but because it completes the biological cycle that stress begins. Your body prepares to run. If you actually run, if you give the system what it prepared for, the cycle closes. The cortisol drops, the tension releases, the signal that the threat is over finally arrives. Your body is not malfunctioning when it is anxious. It is trying to save your life. It just cannot see that the danger has changed shape. Here's what most people miss. The goal was never happiness. It was never peace. It was never the modern self-help culture promises as a baseline human state you have somehow lost and need to recover. Evolution has no interest in your well-being. It has one interest: survival long enough to pass on your genes. The brain it built for you is not a happiness machine. It is a survival machine, and survival machines are designed to be afraid. Chronically, perpetually, hauntingly afraid, because the ones who weren't afraid, the ones who were too relaxed, too trusting, too unbothered, they are gone. This does not mean you are doomed. It means you are normal. It means that when you wake up at 3 in the morning with your heart pounding over something that cannot hurt you, you are not broken. You are not weak. You are not failing at being human. You are experiencing the single most successful adaptation in the history of your lineage, a nervous system so exquisitely sensitive to threat that it kept your ancestors alive across 100,000 years of genuine danger. The fact that it now fires over a calendar notification is not a design flaw. It is a design feature running in the wrong century. Understanding this changes something. Not everything. You will still feel it. The chest tightening before a difficult conversation, the 3 a.m. spiral, the compulsive email checking, the social anxiety walking into a room full of strangers, none of that disappears simply because you understand its origin. But something shifts in how you relate to it. When the alarm goes off in your body and there is no lion in the room, you can begin to recognize it for what it is: an ancient system doing an ancient job, loyal to a version of the world that no longer exists, fighting for a life you are no longer in danger of losing. If this video changed the way you see your own nervous system, consider sharing it with someone who might need to hear it. And if you want to go deeper into the science of how your brain shapes your experience, there is more where this came from. The lion is gone. Your body never got the memo.